Okay, and I wasn't going to mention this, but I had posted on Facebook that I was interviewed on a radio show a couple of weeks ago, and we were Zooming, the radio person and myself, and so he was describing me and what I was wearing, and he was describing, because even though we were Zooming as a radio, and no one was going to see it, and he described what was behind me. I have chakras and all sorts of things, and he was describing those. And I feel like I want to do that for anyone who's not here, because we know how, I won't say hard, but how creatively Jim Gould works to kind of coordinate with whatever I'm wearing. So today is blues and creams, and if you're not here seeing all this beauty, well, imagine it. That's what the colors are today. That's what our color theme is today. And now I'm going to get on with my talk. Okay, well, as it's been mentioned, and I thought I would, but I forgot anyway, but the title of my talk today is Ignorance is Bliss, and you know why I'm always so happy. And each of us will either agree or disagree with that statement, not about me, but just in general, depending on what we think ignorance means. Now, more often than not, we look at ignorance, if we're being generous with our outlook, as simply not knowing, or not understanding, or not being educated. But sometimes when we're feeling not as generous in our outlook, we look at ignorance as just plain stupidity. But today, we are looking at ignorance as innocence, as the divine I am that is each of us, that is pure and clear consciousness, pure and clear awareness, which Muji, who is a guru and also an artist and a writer, called the pure, simple self. He wrote, that self is here and now, only. Contemplate what it is to be fully here and fully now. For this, you must leave all else. It's a little difficult to do if our head is going a mile a minute about what happened or what's going to happen. But the ignorance that is bliss does and must leave all else behind. And as we do, as we allow our pure and simple self to come forward, we experience the pure joy that contains no past to regret or reconcile and no future to be concerned about. When we're not resisting that self as ourself, with thoughts that tell us otherwise, we naturally feel the bliss of love and peace for no worldly reason at all. Now the saying, ignorance is bliss, just in case you didn't know this, originated in 1742 in Thomas Gray's poem, Ode on a Distant Prospect of Eton College. In it, he wrote, where ignorance is bliss, 'tis folly to be wise. Now, in that poem, he was referring to war and suffering and death that was occurring at that time. And it contained 10 10-line stanzas, 100 lines. It wasn't a short poem. But the phrase that's remembered out of its entirety is ignorance is bliss. And since that time, it is stuck with us. It's a phrase that seems to resonate with this, but for different reasons. For instance, the former head of Harvard, Derek Bach, said, if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. But Mark Twain said, if ignorance is bliss, why isn't the world happier? It's a good question. It might be that we humans have been educated about a lot of troublesome things about ourselves and the world that just aren't so. We learn from those we believe had the knowledge to teach us about the limitations of who we are. We were taught that life is full of problems needing to be solved, and to spend our earth life trying to learn as much as we can about how to solve them with a mind that we were taught to believe is limited. As Einstein famously said, we can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them. When we focus on our personal problems and conflicts, or the problems and conflicts of the world, and we fight with and we fight against each other, and when we disagree, we believe it's because of stupidity, we're using the same kind of thinking that created the problems in the first place. In order for us to be happy and problem-free, and to live in a world of harmony together, we need to unlearn our limitations spiritually and live as the divine I am that we are, that is the pure and simple self. We need to live as one who's willing to leave all else behind and live in the power and freshness and innocence of the here and now, in which there's nothing to reconcile and nothing to be concerned about. We leave all else behind by freeing our mind of opinions and judgments. And when we do, if only briefly, the wisdom that solves and dissolves problems flows into our awareness, because our mind is blissfully ignorant of problems. It's blissfully free of reasons to be uptight, upset, or confused. Yoda said, "You must unlearn what you have learned. You will know good from bad when you are calm, at peace, and passive." All of our thinking fills our mind with so many problems that there's no room in our awareness for solutions. It fills our mind with so many judgments of what's bad and good and wrong and right that there's no room in our awareness for the unconditional love that lives in our heart. It fills our mind with so much fear and worry that there's no space for bliss to come into our awareness. Now, if we take pride in being a worrywart, and many of us do, if we insist on commiserating with others about our problems and their problems and the problems of the world, we can't uplift anyone or help the world. We can't uplift ourselves or help ourselves. That's why we need to take a break from the world of worry so we can experience the calm and peace and passiveness that opens us to the true joy of just being alive. There used to be a bumper sticker way back, years ago, that said, I break for unicorns. Do you remember that one? Oh, good. It wasn't just a California thing. We like unicorns in California. But sometimes taking a break from our worries and concern and just allowing pure joy to fill up feels like as big a fantasy as a unicorn. We don't know how to do it. Just filling with pure joy for no reason at all. But there's a Chinese proverb that goes like this: that the birds of worry and care fly over your head, this you cannot change. But that they build nests in your hair, this you can prevent. So why would we focus on thoughts that make us sad or frightened or anxious when every day there are thoughts and things to focus on that are beautiful and uplifting? Why would we choose to focus on fearsome, worrisome thoughts when every day the wisdom within us is calling to us to let them go? Why would we fixate on situations in the news that our knowing about them does nothing to help or resolve them? Muji wrote, throw everything away. Forget about it all. You are learning too much, remembering too much, trying too hard. Relax a little bit. Give life a chance to flow its own way, unassisted by your mind and effort. Stop directing the river's flow. Do we trust that if we stopped all of our thinking, and overthinking about ourselves and the world, that there's a universe of pure, positive energy everywhere, a spiritual flow of God power that would take care of us and the world without our direction? Or do we believe that without our holding on to our judgments of what's good or bad, the God of our creation wouldn't know how to help the world? I asked a friend who often tells me that he wants to live with a more spiritual view of life. I asked him why he watches the news so religiously. And he said, because I want to be informed. It would seem logical that the more information we have, the better equipped we are to deal with the world. It would seem that the more prepared we are for what's next depends on what we know and our knowledge about what's happening now. And so we want to stay current with the happenings. And it gives us something to talk about with others that lets them know we know and that we're concerned too. I mean, we don't have our head in the sand. We're not looking at the world through rose-colored glasses. We know what's happening. I mean, none of us wants to appear to be ignorant of something that's important, especially if that information is about threats to our health and safety and well-being. But we can become so equipped with dealing with this world of appearances where everything, everyone, everywhere has thought or is thinking now is taking form and expression somewhere. Somewhere in this world, a thought is popping out as a thing. And we can be so equipped with knowing it all that we can read and Google ourselves into depression. that keeps us from seeing beyond a limited world of problems to the unlimited possibilities that are available to us and all of humanity. Everything we see around us has already taken physical form from a thought. As we stay informed of the forms and expressions and actions that have already come into this three-dimensional world, our mind becomes a rerun of yesterday's news or today's breaking news, headline news, because our attention to that information helps to bring more of it into form and expression and action in the world. The more we know about what has seen and the more we watch what we see, the more we bring it about. Because our creation of our experience comes from what we're looking at and what we're looking with. Muji wrote, "No thought has any power. You have power." And when you identify and believe in the thought, you give power to that thought. We perpetuate our personal problems and the problems of the world by identifying with them and believing in them and talking about them. We see what we believe, and we can't see what we don't believe. And if we don't believe that's true, consider Mother Teresa. We all know that she was able to hold another human being in her arms, a human being that was dripping with disease, and she did not see it. She was blissfully ignorant. Now, we've all heard that it's not a good thing and not a good idea to expect something bad, and in that way, we allow good stuff to come into our life, first in our mind and then in form in our life, but still. Often we tend to live in our heads. A head that's filled with so many what-ifs that often we give power to thoughts that conflict with the good that we want. Instead of feeling good and then noticing the results of that good feeling, we feel bad that we don't feel bad. We second guess ourselves. Shouldn't I join in the dramas of the world so that I appear to care? Because I do. Shouldn't I do more of what other people have said should be done to change the world? I mean, is feeling good really enough? The one thing that trips us up is that we think that if we don't think about problems, if we just let go and let God flow and life be, that without our focus on what needs fixing, the flow of life that flows with the intention of God's love just wouldn't know where to go without us pointing this one, that stuff. We are vibrational, spiritual beings. The form that we have taken in this three-dimensional world, every one of us, is just a speck of the being that we are right here and right now. This is just a little bit. It's just the little physical part of us. The majority of what we are is unseen, but not unfelt. But whether we're aware it's there or not, we carry within us at all times a spiritual vibrational presence that's uniquely individualized as us. We can't hide it because we're emanating it. We could say that the pure positive energy of the source of all life is present in an encapsulated, condensed, individualized version of itself that we call ourself. Abraham Hicks refers to our individual vibrational state of being as a vortex, as the precursor of all positive motion forward, as the holding tank, the anchor, the touchstone, the place where all of the dreams and wishes and hopes that we've added to along our path of life are being held until we are in vibrational alignment with our inner being. The innocence that is free from past judgments and current or future concerns. The blissful innocence that leaves all else behind, even for a moment, puts us in straight up alignment with who we are and what we want. Everything we feel, all day, every day, is nothing more than feedback about our vibrational proximity to our individual spiritual truth. When we feel good, we're standing on holy ground. The spiritual teacher, Robert Adams, wrote, "The truth is very simple. A flower does not try to be beautiful. Its true nature is beauty. She exudes fragrance, beauty, and perfection just for herself." Similarly, when you wake up, you naturally exhale love, compassion, and beauty. It is all you, for it is your true being. When we let go of our resistance to our true being, when we're not clinging to some thought that keeps us from feeling good, we naturally feel good. And the better we feel, the more informed we are about the spiritual universe in which we live and the true being that is us that lives in it. When we let go and live any chance we get, any time we choose, even for a few moments, as the true being we are, we naturally exhale love and compassion and beauty. Just for ourselves. Just because it feels good. Just because it's who we are. Without trying to figure where to direct it or who deserves it. And then, when we're in that state, when we're feeling good, we're in really close proximity to all that we want. And our loving, happy thoughts easily take form in our life and uplift the world around us. Muji wrote, "Don't worry about anything at all. You are not here by accident. This form is just a costume for a while. But the one who is behind the costume, that one is eternal. You must know this. If you know this and trust this, you don't have to worry about anything. This world is so full of love. And your heart, your being, is so full of love. So full of peace. You don't have to go somewhere else to find peace. It is right where you are. Namaste. All right, keep that CD going, Jim Gould, because this is the time when we get to say thank you. Thank you for being here, because I know you're thankful you're here today. And thank you for your love, your support, and thank you if you tuned in this morning and you didn't see us and you felt just a little contraction of disappointment. But the full message is on the CD, or you've just listened to it if you've gotten to this part. So it's all good. It's all good. But if you liked what you heard and you don't know how to support LEC, then there are a number of ways you can do it. You can go to our Facebook page, which is Life Enrichment Center, and you can hit the donate button. And when we're live streaming, everybody can see that you did that. You can go to our website, lecflint.com, and hit the contribute button, and that's also the way to sign up for Reverend Kim's class if you haven't yet. You can go through, if you're a member of PayPal, we connect in PayPal through our email, which is lec2512@gmail.com, or you can send a check to the Life Enrichment Center, 2512 South Thy Road, Flint, Michigan, 48532. And thank you. Now I'd like to invite our beautiful